great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of disease. What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? Welcome back to the Immigration Answer Show. My name is James O. Hacking III. This is episode number 520 of the Immigration Answer Show, and I will be here for the next hour trying to answer as many of your immigration law-related questions as possible. I was on a StreamYard call yesterday, and I was the guest, so I got to see what it's like to be the guest. I always wondered what it's like to be the guest, sitting in that waiting room, waiting to be called on. And I didn't know what you could see and what you couldn't see, but now that I know, because I've been a guest on somebody else's show, pretty exciting stuff. I sure love the Immigration Answer Show. I sure love spending time with all of you. I'll be here, like I said, until 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Looks like the waiting room is already getting full, so let me go ahead and talk to Alex. Hello, Alex.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for taking my call. I have a couple of questions regarding a CSPA calculation. So my mom petitioned for her sister on an I-130 under the fourth preference family back in 2009. The date for filing is now 2008, and the final action date is 2007. So hopefully they'll get their turn to apply on the DS-260 soon. My question is as follows. The oldest child that's a derivative beneficiary is at risk of aging out. And it looks like USCIS, if they do adjustment of status, they treat the CSPA a little bit differently, where they lock in the date when you file the 485. But if they're abroad and they do the DS-260, it's not until the final action date actually becomes current. And so it looks like they have a disadvantage from filing abroad. Is that the case?
I don't know. I've never heard that before.
Okay. Sounds good. My other question that I have is on the I-130. They had another child since they had that approved, and so it's obviously not listed on the petition. That younger child is still eligible, right?
Yeah. What stage are they at? Have they processed with the National Visa Center yet?
They're just waiting at the NVC. They have about 18 more months until the date for filing becomes current for them, which could take
so they'll be able to update at that point. Yep.
Okay, sounds good. If they happen to be in the US and they do a 485, would USCIS be confused if there's a 485 filed against that I-130 where that I-130 doesn't have like that youngest child that wasn't born yet? Or would they still be able to update it with a 485?
You're envisioning them coming to the United States on a visit after the I-130 priority date becomes current. That's what you're envisioning?
They have came to the US almost every other year or so since then. They have been able to get tourist visas back in 2009, 2019, and so it's good until 2029. And so the hypothetical question is, if they happen to be in the US when it becomes current and they have no problems using the visa that they already have, provided that they decide to change their mind sometime after they come into the country, would that still be okay?
I think that's a little different than a marriage case where that happens. I think that USCIS might hold that against them. I don't know that that's a good plan.
Okay.
It's just because it's so obvious.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, Alex. See you, buddy. Tony's here. Hello, Tony.
Hi, how are you, Jim?
I'm great, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good. So I have a question to ask you for my citizenship application, the N400 form. So I know like one of the requirements for the naturalization is you have to be lawfully admitted for the permanent resident status. And I'm gonna walk you back my how the USCIS they approved my green card at the first place. So like 4 years ago, my father, he filed the petition on behalf of me. He filed the I-130 to sponsor me under the section child under 21 of the lawful permanent resident. But at the time he filed the I-130, he was the conditional permanent resident, the 2-year green card holder. So he got married with the U.S. citizen, and he got his lawful permanent resident. But at that time, he just have only the 2-year green card, and he filed the petition on behalf of me. And he filed the petition on the year 2018, the January 2018, and until the July 2019, the visa bulletin under my section is current. So at that time, I was an international student in the United States, and I filed the I-485 to adjust the status. So when I filed the I-485, after 6 months, I got the interview schedule, and I came to the interview with my dad. So at the interview, everything is good. The interview went very good. But at the interview time, my father I-751, the removing condition on his status is still pending, and he did apply for that form already, and it's still pending at the interview time. So after the interview, the USCIS, they approved the green card for me, and it's 10-year green card. So my question is the USCIS approved my green card at that time is correct or incorrect?
Correct. A conditional resident has the right to sponsor their child on the day they become a conditional resident. They don't have to wait for the conditions to be removed to sponsor their child. So I believe that USCIS did everything correctly and that you're on solid ground for your green card and for your citizenship.
Yeah, because in the past 4 years, that question, it just followed me in the past 4 years. Why my father, he's still the conditional permanent resident, but USCIS, they give me 10-year green card. So I just want to make sure, nothing happened during the interview for the naturalization.
How old were you when you got your green card?
So at the time I got the green card, I was almost 23. But follow the child protection, the child aid,
Yep.
child protection,
Child Status Protection Act.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I qualify, I'm still under 21, because my the I-130 is still pending until the interview time. So they subtract a lot of time, so I'm still qualified. And the officer, she mentioned about that, and she told me I qualify because I'm still under 21 after they use that formula to adjust my age. So,
Did your father eventually get the conditions removed on his green card?
yes, they approved my 10-year green card on the January 2020, and on the May 2020, 5 months later, they approved my father I-751.
So that is actually, Tony, now that you mention it, that is an interesting question. So the question is whether or not you had to have conditions removed on your lawful permanent residence. I think that if you had come in under his application, you would have, but I don't believe that you had to get your conditions removed. I don't think you should have been giving a conditional green card. I think everything is correct. But you might want to have a lawyer look everything over and maybe even do a little memo when you file for citizenship.
Yeah, but because what I thought, because my my green card it doesn't relate anything to marriage or anything, because it's my blood father. So I don't think they're gonna give me the conditional green card, because if they give me the conditional green card after 2 years, I had to file the 751. But I did took a look, the form 751, that firm, it even didn't decide for me. So
it's a very interesting question. I've never had it come up before. I think you're on solid ground, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. So because at the interview, they didn't mention anything about my father 751 is pending, approved or not approved yet. They just asked me all of the question on the form I-485, and then asked my father all the information on the one I-130, and that's it. And then after the interview, they approve it on that day.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for the call.
Okay, thank you
Bye, buddy.
too.
Yep, see ya. Rhiannon's here. Hello, Rhiannon.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I have a very embarrassing situation to bring up. It's actually shameful and almost insulting for your intelligence to be bringing this topic up. But my husband's an idiot and he will not listen.
Uh-oh.
I have been married to my husband over 10 years. We were married in Pakistan. I got his citizenship for him in 2020. It was hard for us to get all that. Well, now the genius decides to go to Pakistan and take a second wife in the home country. He thinks he gave me a civil divorce, but we're still Islamically married. We still have home insurance, every bill's joint, living as a married couple. He decides to file her I-130. I
Brilliant.
told him this is polygyny. It's illegal in the United States, and I want no part of it. You're at risk of losing your green card or your citizenship, I mean. You're at risk of all your brother's case. You're at risk as your parents' case because he filed for all of them. I said, if this goes south, you're looking at criminal charges, you're looking at losing your citizenship, you're looking at everything, plus an immigration ban and a ban for your other wife. I said, in Islam, it's allowed for 2 wives, but it is not allowed to have 2 wives in the United States, especially lying to the government. My husband filed for her I-130. It's been sitting there since October 2022. He just got, I should say, a request for additional evidence. I told him that's because immigration does not like what they're seeing on paperwork and want to clarify a few things. He is saying he has done nothing wrong. It's all about documentation in the United States.
It's called immigration fraud.
Exactly. That's what I've told him. He said that he is allowed, it's all done on document, that we are civilly divorced, that immigration doesn't know anything about us. And I said, we live together. It's morally wrong. It is not correct, and it's fraud. He does not agree with it. He says, I told him to withdraw the case immediately before things go south for his parents and his brother. He don't listen.
I agree with basically everything you say. I don't know that they could take away his citizenship. Other than that, I think everything that you're saying, I think, is true. So I think he's engaged in immigration fraud. I think he's committed a crime by entering into a sham divorce. And I think USCIS could very well find out about it. So I'm on your side.
That's what I told him. And he said he wants to contact an attorney this weekend. And if they tell him to withdraw the case, he will. He won't listen because at this point, I think that they're investigating and it's going to get ugly real quick. And it should never have been started.
What was in the RFE?
We have not got it in the mail yet. It just states that they want additional information. The problem of it, because I'm an overthinker, I said, you gave me the house in the divorce. You filed our divorce papers with the house belonging to me. You put that address on the application. These are not stupid people. Immigration is going to investigate. They will look in. He does not listen. My own family does not know he's divorced me.
Well,
so it's bad. It is bad.
It is bad. And I'm just the immigration lawyer. So from an immigration standpoint, he's committing a fraud, and that's a crime. So, and I would also venture to say that in the government's eyes, you're probably part of the fraud. So if that doesn't freak you out, it should. So
it does.
But I just left my therapist's office, so I'm in a sort of a therapeutic mood. And the one thing I would say is, what are you going to do about it? I mean, you have agency here. You're not a victim. So you have to decide what you want to do about this situation. I'm not saying call USCIS, but I certainly think that's a threat that you have in your back pocket. He's putting you in jeopardy. Forget about his parents' case and his brother's case. I mean, if it's me, I would say, listen, you son of a bitch, if you don't withdraw this I-130, I'm moving out, or you're moving out. I own this house. Get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah, I honestly think he's trying to get me to that point. I think it's all a big to-do. It's, I have documentation of me in letters saying, I do not agree with this. I am not a part of this. His other wife has contacted me and said things that was very incriminating of her knowing her marrying a married man. He's only passing time with me until she arrives. So, and he denies all this, but I have all of this. So if things go south, even in my sense, I have documentation. I was never a part of this, and nor do I want to be a part of it.
Well,
I'm
so
just stuck in this home.
here's what I would say. I would say two things. One, if I were you, don't say where you live, but if I were you, wherever I live, I would go find a criminal defense attorney and tell them everything that you're telling me, and then I would do whatever they tell you to do. From
Okay, yes.
From an immigration standpoint, this case should be over. It should, like you said, it never should have started. I'm sorry that you're going through this.
Yes.
I think he's pretty much a shitbird, and he's pissing me off, and he makes Muslims look bad.
Yes, I know exactly. And that is my whole main problem. And plus, for the immigration community, I apologize. There's people that have been waiting for their spouses for years that are in legal marriages, and he's just making it harder for them. And I'm so embarrassed to even be bringing this topic up. But, you know, it is what it is. I just need, he thinks that I'm over paranoid and that I'm lying and I'm being selfish and that I should not be bringing this up.
Tell him you talk to a Muslim immigration lawyer, and that Muslim immigration lawyer says he's committing a crime. He could go to jail. He could. Do you guys have kids?
I have 3 older children, and then our youngest one, he's illegally adopted. He's I've had 4 children before marriage, and that was one thing that was a problem with immigration. It was hard for me to get him here, and it was hard for me to get him his U.S. citizenship.
Of course.
And then he does this.
I was just talking to a lady today. The hardest thing for me to do is to bring a man from a Muslim country like Pakistan or Bangladesh to here. So, I think you need to take him up on his offer of this actual. I mean, this is way stepping outside the purposes of this show, but I think you need to take him up on his offer of being divorced and go from there. I mean, I think I would talk to that criminal defense lawyer right now and figure out what your exposure is.
Okay, I will, and thank you. And I apologize to the immigration community. No, it's
anytime.
Embarrassing.
You're fine. You're fine. I'm sorry you're going through this. All right, see you.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Wow. I thought yesterday's call from Shaka was something. This is the weird. I'm hearing things. Even Tony's question was a question that I've always known for Tony that a green card holder could sponsor their kid as soon as they get their conditional residence, but I've never thought about the effects of the condition, like when it gets approved before the conditions are removed. But I think he's okay. But that case there, I mean, what the heck? As Vadim said, this show gets more and more interesting every day. I mean, have you guys heard of anything like this? I haven't. I mean, we've had a couple cases. We've had a couple cases, mostly from the Middle East, where a guy comes to the United States, marries a U.S. citizen, gets his kids over here, and then the last person to come is the ex-wife. And then it turns out she's living out in the garage while Sonny Boy, or the husband, is in the house with the American. So I have heard of some things like that. Certainly nothing we've ever been actively involved in. We've been consulted sort of like in a situation like that. But man, oh man. All right. Let's go to W. Hello, W. The last person to come is the ex-wife. And then it turns out she's living out in the W's behind. So we'll have to go back to W. He's on some weird audio thing. We'll come back to old W. Albert's got his hand raised. Hello, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you for the work you're doing. This is helping a lot many people. I have a nephew who is a DACA beneficiary. And his father is very sick in Zambia. And we were trying to find out, can he leave and come back? Or if he leaves, he cannot come back?
He has to get advance parole before he leaves.
So if he gets advance parole, there will be no way that on the way coming back, immigration can change and decide not to allow him to come in.
Well, my friend Albert, you said no way, and I'll never say there's no way, right? What I will say is he should be okay. It shouldn't be a problem.
And then when he comes back, will he come back, or will he come back with a different status?
Yeah, so that's the great thing about DACA AP is that if he leaves and comes back, then he can marry someone if he wants to, and if it's a real marriage, get a green card and not have to do the waiver and consular processing. The entry on advanced parole cleans that up for him.
Okay. So he can go and then come back with advanced parole. He can go out with the advanced parole, come back, and then if he finds a woman to marry, he can marry, and it will be his the status will be clean enough for him to marry.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, then. Thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
Bye, Albert. See you, buddy.
Okay, bye.
My son Ismail's texting me, so that's why I was texting him. W's in the house. Hello, W.
Hello, Jim.
How you doing, buddy?
Sorry,
No worries. Can you hear
I'm
me?
not sure how to turn on the audio.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Thank you for everything you do. I cannot hear you.
Okay.
But I have a question. I just got a notice on my 485 that it just got approved. But yes, thank you. And the 130 though, it still says that it's under review and I know that you say don't really look into the online, but the question was on my interview that happened a few days ago. I think it was last Thursday. They said to remove my asylum application, and I was worried that because these 485 and 130 being pending, I wasn't going to be able to get a work permit, and my work permit is on the 5A9. So what do you think? Is it a good time then to withdraw that one, or should I just say wait until I get the green card and then send them a copy? I've seen videos you saying that.
Wait until you get the green card.
485 and 130 being pending.
Wait until you get the green card.
Get a work permit, and my work permit is on the 5A9. So what do you think? Is it a good time then to withdraw that one, or should I just say okay, thank you. Wait until I get the green card.
That was funny. He doesn't have his audio going. JP says this is something that happens a lot in the States. This is not something that happens a lot in the States. This is something that's very, very unusual. So this is not something we see very often of. It's absurd. That case was absurd. I feel sorry for that lady. I do think that maybe he was taken advantage of, and she was taken advantage of, and that actually might be the one way they could take her citizenship, is if his citizenship, if they could show that he knew about this other lady and that he was planning this polygamy all along. I think they could try to denationalize him. I think the chances of it are low, but I think that technically it is possible. Mr. K in the house. What's up, Mr. K? You're on mute.
Hi, Jim. How you
buddy.
doing?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, thank you. I just have a simple question. So Jim, I have a waiver, 641A waiver, and I'm doing the lawsuit as well. So
Yeah.
is it okay for me to submit my 601A waiver, including with the lawsuit, as the lawsuit is also going on?
You
or
mean
I
the
should
six-
wait till the
So the lawsuit is to compel what action?
pending I-130 and I-485.
And how long? It's a 601A, you said?
Yeah, 601A waiver. So I have this fraudulent on my previous case.
So I would say this. Why don't you tell your paralegal, who's ever handling the lawsuit, that you want to talk to Jim, and let's talk about this off camera, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, just say,
Okay.
I mean, any client of the firm can talk to me whenever they want. It just takes a little bit to get a hold of me, but just either email me directly or email your paralegal and say Jim said that he and I need to talk, and that's fine. We can do that tomorrow or Friday.
Okay, because she sent me that is, can I mention her name?
Yeah, sure.
Nairobi. Yeah, Nairobi.
Yeah.
She sent me okay. So and also I just want to tell everybody that is listening and watching this program that is just the best. Jim, you guys are doing an amazing job, because since I told your firm that I'm going to do the lawsuit, just let me, I just want to brief it out just a little bit for everybody to know about it. So I just called in Daniel, and then he sent me the information that I need to fill out. So I did it on Sunday. That was 2 weeks ago. I did it on Sunday. The next day, they just Monday, they just get back to me. They gave me the paperwork to sign. I signed, and then it took them 3 days to speed everything up, send
That's
the
great.
paperwork to me, and then give me that, hey, the court has received a notification, and then they're sending it out to USCIS and then the
Nice.
other agents. So
Nice.
this was just a fast track to me. Like
That's great.
it's just amazing. So
I
thank
love
you.
Pod L. That's Pod L. That's my pod. Pod L is the ones that do lawsuits. So I'll tell Nairobi. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. K.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
bye,
So
buddy.
I'll send the email. Thanks.
You got it. See you, man.
Okay. Bye.
Also, I saw some good news up above from our friend Kofi. I don't know if you guys remember Kofi coming on the show, but Kofi's had quite a battle to get his 10-year green card. And if he lets me one day, maybe he'll come on the show and we can talk about it. But that involved not one, but 2 lawsuits. Like the first lawsuit got dismissed, and then we filed another one and we got him his green card. So we're very happy for him, and we're grateful for his support as always. Brian, what's up, Brian?
Hi, so my question is for myself and my girlfriend, who is currently here on an F1 visa. So for a little bit of context, we've known each other for 6 years, and we've been in a dedicated long-distance relationship for the past 4 years. And we planned that she would try her hardest to come here to study, and it came to fruition. Her country, which it's a Middle Eastern country, I prefer not to say for her benefit. She's listening on the stream. But she got a scholarship through the Ministry of Education, and it requires that after she finishes her degree here that she has to return. But if it's at all possible, we want to make sure that she does not return. She's from an abusive household, and this has been in the works for a very long time for her to escape. We thought that it would be the best option for her to come on a student visa because that would make her more desirable. But our question is, what would be our best route to ensure that she stays after she finishes college?
So, so she's on a J1.
F1.
Oh, then what's the requirement? She has to go back home. Why does she have to go back home?
She is being sponsored through her country through the Ministry of Education, and the scholarship says that she has to return.
And if she doesn't, then they're going to come. So I think I know the country, but I'm not going to say. So I've had some people where you enter into that contract. So if she's on an F1, they don't have a whole lot of leverage if she's not willing to go back home. So now, one time, back when I first started doing lawsuits, I had someone who got financing from the Ministry of Education, and we were going to file for asylum for them. And they were right up against the 1-year deadline. I was going to file it on Monday morning. On Sunday night, the guy called me and said that his father had heard from the Ministry of Education, and they said, if your son doesn't come home this week, we're going to knock down your house. So, the question, I mean, first of all, I don't think this is a question. I don't think this is a discussion just to have on YouTube. I think I need to talk to her, right?
Yes.
Maybe off camera, but the question is, what is she prepared to do? Right? Is she going to, is she prepared to never go back and let whatever happens with the Department of Education and her family?
Correct. So for a little bit of context, like I said, me and her, we've been very deeply connected, and she has completely abandoned her family. They think that she is in a neighboring city working. She actually worked for a year with a company that is based in America, and she left on very, very good standing with that company. They were very supportive of her. So her immediate family has no idea that she is in America, and we would like it to stay that way. They tried to get her to not pursue education, and I kept telling her to that's the best way, and now she's here. And I don't want to, for her safety, I don't want to say what city she's in, but we are very close to one of your main offices. She's very close to one of your main offices, so we will come in for an in-person visit eventually. Okay,
well, we don't do in-person anymore, but that's okay. We can figure something out. But in answer to your question, if she's done with the family, that contract, I guess they could try to enforce it in the United States. But if she's not on a J1, she's only on an F1, then everything's okay. Now, the one thing I want you to think about is this, and you probably need to be a little bit careful. Number one, I wouldn't use language like she abandoned her family. That just doesn't sound good. So I would say she cut off ties from her family. Abandoned sounds like she's doing something bad. So I'd be careful about that word moving forward. But more importantly, when someone needs to flee their country and they get an F1 visa to do so, and they come to the United States, if they apply for asylum and they don't ever really go to school, or they just go to school for a little bit, in other words, the F1's just their ticket into the United States so that they can apply for asylum, that will be forgiven. But if they do that same thing and then try to go the marriage route, then they might have a little bit of a problem with the misrepresentation on the F1. In other words, if USCIS believes that she came on the F1, maybe to escape a bad family, but more importantly, to get married to you, then that's going to be a problem that it wouldn't be that problem if she filed for asylum. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So I would encourage her, if I were to talk to her, to go to school on the F1 for a good long while, hopefully get a degree if she can. I know that shit's expensive because she's paying international student rate, but if the F1 is a pretext, that's a problem for the marriage case.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, I do. And,
Thanks, Brian.
One more thing, if I may. If she were to get an internship here or to work here between her semesters, would that potentially help increase her likelihood of being able to stay after she finishes school?
F1 students can't work in between semesters.
Gotcha.
They can only work 20 hours a week on campus.
Gotcha. All right.
And that would have no impact on what I'm talking about. I need her to be in school. I need her to go to school for at least a year, or preferably 2.
Got you. All right. Well, I think that does it. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks, dear Brian. See you, buddy. You guys are all, each and every one of you, listening to the Immigration Answer Show. Yesterday, we had one of the craziest marriage cases I've heard in a while from old, what was his name? Shaka from Malawi. Today, we had the brother who wants to go back to, who's already filed after a sham divorce. Sham divorces, that's something I haven't done a video on in a long time. There are such things as sham divorces. I'll need to think about this. Hey, listen, I'm having a lot of fun on TikTok these days. I'm posting like 2 or 3 times a day. We just went over 100,000 followers on TikTok. So if you're not following us at Immigration Hacking, you should. A lot of the good information I give out here, I do in the condensed version on TikTok, and I really like TikTok. I think my friend Laura Clark was right when she said I was like built for TikTok. Like my ADHD sort of kicks in. I just shoot a video. Like I used to like plan ahead and think about all the stuff I wanted to say. Like I want to make this perfect TikTok. Now I just say that shit, right? Now I just like, if I'm wearing a hoodie, if I'm wearing this, I just pull out the camera and go out back because I like that brick backdrop we have. And I just shoot that TikTok. So also on TikTok, if you send me a message, that's where I get a lot of my good ideas. Vadim says, welcome to the Ultimate Reality Immigration Answer Show. I don't know, dude. It's pretty unreal if you ask me, Vadim. It's crazy talk. Crazy talk. I don't know. Is it a full moon? Somebody check for me, will you? Let me know if it's a full moon. John has been waiting patiently. Hello, John.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for letting me ask you a couple questions today. I just a couple weeks ago, my wife's I-130 got approved finally.
Nice.
For 14 months to the day. I was doing her paperwork. I guess my first question is probably, it might be a stupid question, is we have a newborn, relatively newborn. She's an American. I've already got her documents taken care of.
Yes, sir.
I went to the consulate here in Brazil and took care of that. So on the application, I marked that she'll be immigrating alone. That's accurate, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So my second question, and it's maybe 2 or 3, is with the affidavit for support. I guess the easy question is, would you suggest that I send just the 1 year that they're asking for tax transcripts, or is it a better idea to send 3? You know, because there's that option. Send 3, even though I'm kind of leery because, you know, COVID happened in 2020 and I spent a lot of time actually in Brazil that year, and my income is relatively low that year. But if you take the average of the 3 years, it's more than enough for what they're looking for.
They don't take the average, and so would the bad year be the third oldest?
No, it's in middle. It's
Middle?
2020, the year that everybody was closing down for COVID.
Well, 2020, but then you would have 22 and 21, right?
Maybe I might be mistaken. It might be 21. I'm sorry. I think in 2020 I had a really nice tax return, and then the following year it was shit.
Yeah. And how's 23?
23. Well, I haven't filed yet, so I was not going to include that. But 23, to be honest with you, 23 is right at what they're looking for. Again, I spent 6 months here in Brazil not working.
Sounds like you need a co-sponsor.
You think so, huh?
Mhm.
That's going to lie. Well, I mean, I don't know. You might be right. And that was going to be my next question. Was I've been here since September because I took a leave from work, so I don't think I can check the box that I'm employed right now.
Yeah, and they'll ask for proof of current employment. So I vote that we need a co-sponsor sooner rather than later.
Okay.
In other words, don't wait for them to ask for one. Just send it to them.
Okay. So I mean, would you bother even submitting without a co-sponsor?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you have to submit your shit. Your shit has to be submitted because you're the U.S. citizen. But
Sure.
you're gonna say, if you send in a proper affidavit of support from a co-sponsor with all their income and stuff, then you're saving 2 months by not the back and forth on RFE, at least 2 months.
Okay. So it takes a couple months for them to do a review on an affidavit.
Oh, sure.
Okay. All right. That was all my questions. Thank you
John.
so much.
See you, buddy. Yep.
Take care.
Yep. You too. All right. Dave is in the house. What do you say, Dave?
Hey, good evening, Jim. Thank you for taking my call.
You got it.
I'm actually a client of you guys, so I'm
Well,
still gonna have the question.
don't say anything confidential.
Yeah, I know. So I'm immune compromised, and the vaccine that I'm supposed to take. There's 4 of them that are considered to be live vaccine. How am I gonna work around that with the doctor?
Well, if you have medical documentation that you can't get the vaccines that are required, then they'll fill out the form accordingly.
Okay, so just schedule the appointment and go into the doctor, and he's gonna do everything.
I mean, but bring all the proof, right? You got to prove it up.
I'm on a special medication, like it's called Humira. You probably heard of it, and
I know Humira.
it prevents me from taking
I think
live
Abby makes.
vaccine.
I think Abby makes Humira. That's where my sister works.
Oh, okay. Also, I have another question. I have a co-sponsor, but he's also my business partner, and will he be asked to submit like his business taxes or just his personal taxes to be a co-sponsor?
Probably both.
Oh, I think I gotta find another sponsor then.
I mean, you can try it with the personal, but usually they want to see the business. Because you got to prove up the source of the income.
Right, but the thing is, my ex-wife is also a business partner in the company. So
that shit sounds messy.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I don't want her name to come up and it looks like crazy for me, you know.
Smart. Yep. Co-sponsor, please.
Yeah, I think so. All right, thank you.
Brother.
That's it.
Bye, Dave. See you, buddy.
Bye.
All right, I'm calling on Rasha next. Hello, Rasha.
Hi, Dave. Jim, how are you?
Dude, I just got to tell you, one of the craziest people we ever had in the whole history of hacking immigration law was named Rasha. So I got fingers crossed that you're not like her.
No, I'm not. I am currently in the process of applying an N400 for my husband.
Okay.
I'm doing it online, and I came into the part where I fill out all the travel dates.
Yeah.
So when we go back 5 years, in 2019, he did travel to our country, Jordan, and he did stay over 6 months, but not over a year. His father was diagnosed with sarcoma cancer early 2019. And he went there. Me and the kids didn't go with him because the kids had school. But when school was out in May, we did join him and his father. We were there for his surgeries, chemotherapy, everything, and we came back together. But when I put that in, I got that notice where, like, if you don't have proof of like your connections to the United States you might have broke, like your residence. And
Continued residence, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes, but we don't, the only proof that we have is his vehicle. It was still registered and
Yeah,
insured,
but
but I moved it.
I don't think you need to worry about that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't think you need to worry about that, because what was the date that he came back from that trip of almost a year?
December 28th of 2019.
December 28th.
And he left in January 11 on January 11th.
So hold on, December 28th, 2018, right?
Yes, 2019.
2019.
Yes, and he came back he left in January on January 11th, 2019 and came back December 28th, 2019.
And since December 28th of 2019, he's had no trips of more than 6 months.
No, we only had one trip last year and it was only 1 month.
Okay. So, and then is he applying on the 3-year rule or the 5-year? Probably the 5-year rule, right?
The 5-year. Yeah, he's had his green card for almost 10 years now.
In the last 5 years, he has spent more than 2.5 years in the United States, right?
Yes, he has.
Okay. So then he is eligible. So there,
Mhm.
so we're not going to have that fight. This is why I interrupted you. We're not going to have that. We're not going to have that fight over whether or not he kept his ties so as to not have broken his continuous residence. We're going to concede that. Like, you're not going to. There's not a place on the form where you concede that. But when he goes in for his interview, he's applying under. There's this other rule that if you apply 4 years and 1 day after your extra long trip, that's when you're eligible. So for him, that would have been my mother's birthday last year, December 29th, 2023. So that's 4 years and 1 day. So if you apply right now, you don't have to, I mean, still fill out the form, but you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop. I need
You got it.
very good consultation. Thank you so much.
Bye, Rasha. Good luck.
Bye. Thanks.
See ya. I like Jordan. We went to Jordan. I enjoyed Jordan, especially Petra and Ajloon. And Amman's really cool. Amman reminded me of Denver. It had that sort of mountainy aspect, the dry air. It was sort of cool at night. Just my kind of weather, like San Diego a little bit. Amman is a nice place to visit. All right. Ray's in the house. What do you say, Ray?
How you doing, Jim?
Great, buddy. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
So I have 2 questions. The first question is this. So we are in the process of renewing our work authorization. I actually renew mine, but I send the information for my wife, and we have a letter of notice of them receiving it in September. But up to this point, my wife hasn't got it yet. I'm
sorry, Ray. What are you trying to renew, Ray? I'm sorry.
The work permit.
Okay.
And so I got mine, but my wife didn't get hers. We only got a letter of notification that they received it already, and that was back in September.
What's the basis of the work card?
So we are. So my father is a U.S. citizen, and I'm an F3 from Mexico from July 14, 1999.
Yeah.
And so
So you've been renewing your EAD every year? You've been waiting that long?
Not for that long, though. We just got ours about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Because they called us, they did the interview and all that, and then we're just waiting for like a visa, for us to be available.
Crazy. That's great. Okay. So when did you get your EAD?
My renewal, about in November.
And when did you file? You and she file?
September.
So what's the question?
So do you know why she might not got it hers?
No.
Don't know. Okay. Because I just said, I go online and then try to look and see what happens to it, because they just expire like the first of this month.
And what about the automatic extension? There's an automatic extension for those, right?
Yeah, but it's really confusing. It's like some people say it is, but you have to be, certain date. I'm not
Can you
100% sure.
can you send me a copy of her EAD and I'll tell you?
Sure, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com.
I got it. Yeah, and then second question is this. So we've been waiting all this time for doing papers from my dad, right? To get it
Mhm.
through my dad. But so I'm covered by law the 240
5I.
45I, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I was thinking is, I have a kid that is already 24 years old, right? So I don't know if it is worth waiting all this time or more years, or should I just do another application through my kid?
Well, that's a good question. And of course, if Papa did, which he did, file an I-130 for you back to give you the coverage from 245I,
Right.
you should be able to transfer that to him. And so I think that's a very good discussion, because I think you're still probably a few years away from getting green cards. Your kid was born in the United States, right?
Yes.
And he's over 21?
Yes, 24.
I think that's a very good conversation to have.
Because I just saw the last bulletin and it just doesn't move. It moved prior one, right?
And the other thing is not to interrupt you, but the other thing is that you can do both. You can have your son file and leave your dad's case going. And then
Okay.
when the time comes for adjustment, I mean, when you fill out, one, you might want to have a lawyer help you with this, but when you fill out the I-130, you're going to want to make sure that you're invoking 245I and include the receipt from dad's
Right,
I-130. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then what I'll do then, I'll probably just go to the office in San Diego, right?
Yeah, there's usually not someone there unless we have an appointment. So just email me and we can go from there. We do everything virtually.
Oh, okay. Then I'll do that, because I'm just tired of waiting. Really, I just this is insane. The amount of years, and now we were thinking, well, we're gonna get our work permits renewed. Only mine comes. I don't know what happens to my wife's work permit. So I'm tired of being in the limbo anymore.
All right, I'm gonna do something right now. We've been having a little trouble with info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. I'm gonna give out my real email address to everybody. You guys ready? It's Jim@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. Don't tell everybody, you guys. Don't tell everybody, but Ray can email me. My real email is Jim@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. Just send that over, and then we can follow up. Okay.
Okay, will do. Thanks so much for taking my call.
You got it. See you. Have a good day. All right, Frank's laying down, so I got to talk to Frank. What's up, Frank?
Hi. Sorry, I just got off camera.
It's all good. What's up?
Yeah. I have a quick question. When you file the I-130 and the adjustment of status, upon waiting for the green card, what comes first upon approval of the I-130?
What comes first? What do you mean?
Like in terms of approval.
Oh, usually the I-1, somebody just called earlier and said the online portal says their 45 was approved, but the I-130 is still pending. That's unusual. Yeah, everyone's got my email now. The normal course of events is the I-130 is approved, then the 45 is approved. Technically, the 45 can't be approved unless the I-130 is approved, right? So, so usually, a lot of times they happen on the same day, but as a lot of people will tell you on this show, the I-130 sometimes gets approved and then their 45 is pending for a long time. I have a video on that because it takes a lot of time. Sometimes there's a gap. So typical thing, I-130 is approved at 10 in the morning and I-45 is approved at 10:05. That's 80% of the time. And then sometimes there's the I-130 gets approved and then the 45 a couple months later, but the 45 can never be approved without the I-130 being approved. It just can't happen.
Okay, so that means when the I-130 is approved, then you are given the EAD?
No, usually you're given the EAD before the I-130 is approved. Sorry, I didn't understand your question. So typically, the typical case, you file You get fingerprinted, background check, work card, then interview or green card. And most people don't get advanced parole even though they apply for it.
Oh, so the EAD comes first before the I-130 is approved. Okay.
Yeah, the I-130 in theory is supposed to carry you over until you get the work card.
Ah, okay. See. So also one other question. Is arguments between your wife's family about her and you being the foreign spouse enough evidence to submit? Is that, can you submit that kind of evidence?
Wait, so you're asking me, Jim, is it good evidence? Is the fact that your family is fighting over who you chose to be your wife, is that good evidence of a valid marriage?
Yes. For example, let's say I'm the foreign spouse of the American citizen, and then the American citizen has issues with her parents
Her
for
family doesn't
marrying.
like you.
Yes, and then they are going back and forth with her, and then she doesn't listen to them. She just she loves who she loves, and then no one has in control of that. So can she put that as part of the evidence in
Yeah,
future?
I think that's actually good evidence, but it cuts both ways. So I think generally it's good, but unless the officer sort of says, well, this guy's a shitbird, I can see why the family's not mad, right? Or why the family's mad. So I have used evidence of family dissatisfaction with the marriage before, but I think you have to be a little bit careful, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Because
So certainly you need a lot of other evidence, right?
yeah, well, I know that. And then that reminds me also, is evidence from the American citizens' children regarding how, regarding, the letters, birthdays, all that
Yeah, that's all good.
evidence also?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's the question I wanted to find out.
I think the reason the answer to your question is mostly yes is because sometimes we go to interviews and people haven't told their American family that they're married, right? And so the fact that you've told them and they don't like it, that's actually supportive of the fact that there is a valid marriage, right?
Yeah.
Unless the family's saying he only married her for a green card, that's where you don't want that.
Yeah, because they've only met this person maybe twice, and then they just start saying, "Are you sure this is what you want to do?" He's
Right.
not
I
from
gotcha.
here. Stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep. All right, great. Thanks, Frank.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye, buddy. All right, everyone's talking about the playoffs. I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. So I think there's a small chance that the Lions are a team of destiny. They remind me a little bit of the Rams in 1999 when they just sort of went on that crazy run. But I think most likely what's going to happen, and this isn't what I want to happen. What I want to happen is for the Ravens to play the Lions in the Super Bowl. What I think is going to happen is the Chiefs are going to beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. That's what I think is going to happen. So there you go. I'm making the call. Falik is here. Hello, Falik Mama.
Hi, can I get off camera, Jen?
Yeah, you're not driving, are you?
No, we're not driving. We parked. I'm parked.
You're off camera. You're off camera.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. If you remember last week, I think I called
Mm-hmm.
about my IA-24. Remember?
No.
So yes. So on yesterday, I got my I-130 got approved since the 2022 July. But then the case was closed. So it shows me on the app case closed. But then yesterday the case was sent to MVC. It was sent to MVC. Then later in the evening I got an email, a work on letter. So this is my question.
This is my question. Bum, 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 bum. Wah. That's too bad. Yeah, it says device not connected. All right. Probably got time for one more. Let's see what Mike has to say. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
Good, man. What's up?
Jim, what is the earliest you would feel comfortable suing for adjustment of status marriage to a U.S. citizen?
The day after you filed. No, it depends. It depends. Was there an interview?
No, not yet.
what was the person's the beneficiary? What was their status before they filed?
TPS for 12 years.
Valid entry or entered without inspection?
F1 entry, a student.
Nice. Okay, so sort of a long, complicated history inside the United States. So sort of a thick immigration file for the beneficiary. How's the marriage?
Pretty good.
I would say about a year. It depends. If it's like Seattle or someplace that's crazy busy, I might say a year and a half. But year and 2 months, something like that.
It's Fairfax, Virginia.
And how long of a wait you got?
So I filed in July. I'm just a bit concerned about a change of administration. So
July of 23?
Correct.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, Fairfax is pretty efficient. They move shit pretty fast. So I say if you get to a year, if you get to September or so, September would be enough time for us to get the lawsuit done before Trump becomes president.
Okay. And how far in advance should I contact your office if I want to?
Well, we can turn it around pretty quickly, maybe 2 weeks.
Okay. Sounds good. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Bye, Mike. See you, buddy. All right. Kashav is here. Hello, Kashav.
Hey, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thank you. So can I go off the camera, please?
You are off the camera.
Thank you. So currently I'm on L1B visa, and my wife, my dependent, she's on L2 visa.
Yeah.
Now she's working for an employer, and she's trying to apply for the H1B nomination.
Okay.
So her manager and her senior manager, they are in sync, and they're convinced to file her H1B for the lottery.
Okay.
But they have even pushed for it, but the HR is saying no, that they cannot go ahead because this is a small company and they did not have done for any candidate in the past.
Okay.
So do you think is there any solution to it? Because her manager is in sync with her, and they want to file for H1B. But
well, who makes the final decision?
I guess the HR only.
I mean, that's an internal company thing. What's the benefit to the if she has the ability to work on her L2? What's the benefit to the company of sponsoring her for an H1B?
Okay, so the L2 is going to expire in 2027, the max out. So
Yeah.
we'll have to go back to the home country, India. So we, as part of, we are trying to apply for parallel.
Yeah, so that's a benefit to you. So I think what I would do is, if I'm your wife, I would sort of come up with a campaign. I mean, the HR manager has a boss, right?
Yeah.
So, this is what I would do. If I were your spouse, I would explain why this is important. I mean, why a company would sponsor people for L1s. Oh, she's at a different company than you. Right.
Yeah.
So they've never been through the H1B process?
No.
So I think, this is like politics, but like she needs to convince the manager to go to bat with her and explain to them why it's in their interest to sponsor her for an H1B and to do it this year just because of the lottery, right? So if you only have 27, so you have 24, 25, 26 to sponsor her for an H1B, it's going to be in their benefit. So if the HR manager is in control of things, that sucks, but somebody intelligent has to realize that she's very, very valuable to the company and that they should go through the hassle of the H1B. And also the other thing that everyone needs to remind her is, and she might not, or the HR person might not know this, is filing for the H1B lottery now is a lot simpler than it used to be, right? And now they're going to raise the fee for it, so it's a little more expensive than it was, but it's a very basic process just to see if she gets selected. So there's really no downside other than the filing fee, which the company has to pay. But to me, this would be like, you need to think about company politics and like, what allies can we get to go to bat for us to sort of shut this HR person up so that they do the right thing, right?
Yeah. So good thing is that she's pretty good in her work, and her manager and everybody is impressed of her work. So they're kind of pushing the file forward. But thing is, HR is not accepting. So one reason I can think of is maybe the immigration, they don't have an immigration team because that's a small company, so they don't want to go into the hassle of investing
Yeah,
whatever
right.
cost the immigration team would
And they have
have.
her for free. They have her for free because of you.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
There's no hassle. She's just working like anybody else. So they have to feel a little bit of pain.
Okay. So one thing like that was coming into my mind is, can it be like, as you already mentioned, that filing for an H1 is very easy as well as it's economical, but
It's a lot
then
easier. Yeah.
it's a lot easier. But if somebody else, like some other attorney or even you, can take
Yeah.
up the case.
So I like having those conversations. Now, I've had many times where the employee finds me, not the employer. As you might imagine with YouTube, we're sort of consumer facing as opposed to employer facing. Companies find us for H-1Bs, but usually it's the employee. Usually it's somebody on OPT or some other status like your wife. So we've had those conversations with employers and they generally go pretty well. Like the only thing is, like one time this company thought that I was trying to trick them with the employee. Like the employee said, Jim, come in for this meeting, but he never told them what the meeting was about. So he and this was like a construction company, and they were all wearing boots. I thought they were going to kick my ass, right? So generally that goes fine though, but there has to be some education, right, of everybody about the process. And I'd be happy to talk to her employer or even the manager and her about how to approach the HR person to start having that conversation, because we still got time and the lottery itself is pretty low friction.
Yeah. So if they like, I think her manager should be in sync with her, and if they want to contact you, how can you be contacted?
Yeah, well, today and today only, I'm giving out my real email address, which is jim@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. So tomorrow it'll be back to info@hackingimmigrationlaw, and nobody better say what it really is.
Yeah. And another thing what comes to my mind is, could be like she's being paid less than the H1 or the, like if she gets selected into the lottery, they would have to pay the minimum H1 wage, but currently she's being paid less than the minimum. So that is,
well, that's another thing. That's another thing that we could look at is we could, even before we talk to the HR person, we could try to be a little creative, look at the job description, see if there's a way that we can knock that salary down depending on where she's working, that kind of stuff.
All right.
Bye, Keshav.
Okay, thank you so much, Jim.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good day. You got it. All right, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be episode 521. It'll be 4 p.m. Central, I think. I might move it. I might not do a show tomorrow. I might do a show on Friday, or I might do a show tomorrow and not on Friday. I think I will do it tomorrow. Slipping Jimmy. I think I will do it tomorrow because I'll be at Noor's training, and I'll probably just do it right then. Yeah, H&M already has it because they're an OG. That's right. Everyone's asked me about Trump. I probably won't do it tomorrow because it'll be in public when I'm at the gym with Noor. But either this weekend or next week, I'll do my latest update on why I think Trump's going to win the election. I'll just give you the quick short version. I don't think there's going to be any trials before now in the election, right? Yeah, thank you, Laura. That's a good idea. I don't really care. People watch my email for me, so it's all good. And something's wrong with info@, so I don't know what's up. All right, everybody have a good night. Plan is for 4 o'clock tomorrow, but stay tuned. And if you're not on our text line, you should get on there, 314-470-3300. Just send the word show to 314-470-3300, and you'll find out when I'm going live.